While the House Oversight Committee continues to investigate the Epstein files, I want to give them a little bit of advice. They might want to consider including an investigation into Epstein's death specifically. Because now, thanks to the Epstein files, we're learning some more fascinating information, let's just put it that way, that makes us maybe question the official narrative surrounding Epstein's death. Now, I personally have always been suspicious of the allegation that he took his own life. I don't believe that he did. Okay, I suspect that something else happened, potentially foul play. And the reason why I think that is because there had already been inconsistencies that made me question this, but now we have more. So, thanks to the DOJ's release of the Epstein files, we discovered that prosecutors wrote an announcement about Epstein's death a day before he was discovered dead. So let's take a look at the document in question. It says United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. And if you look at the date, right there on the top left-hand corner, it says Friday, August 9th, 2019. He was discovered dead on the 10th. Okay, so this document can be found among the dozens of documents in the disclosure labeled as Statements from the Southern District of New York's US Attorney's Office. And again, as you can see, dated August 9th, Epstein was discovered dead August 10th. And look, to be fair, accidents happen, mistakes happen. They might have just made a mistake and wrote the wrong date, typed in the wrong date. This doesn't necessarily prove that there's foul play. But you might want to take a step back and think about all the other questionable things that have come up surrounding Epstein's death. For instance, we also learned something else that raises questions recently. Newly released Department of Justice documents show that investigators reviewing surveillance footage from the night of Jeffrey Epstein's death observed an orange-colored shape moving up a staircase toward the isolated, locked tier where his cell was located at approximately 10:39 p.m. on August 9th, 2019. Fascinating. So there's a still from the video that's been circulating online, and I want to show it to you. The spotlight is on the orange figure that CBS News was reporting on. And by the way, kind of shocking that CBS News reported on this in the first place. But nonetheless, they write that the entry in an observation log of the video from the Metropolitan Correctional Center appears to suggest something previously unreported by authorities. Quote, a flash of orange looks to be going up the L-tier stairs, could possibly be an inmate escorted up to that tier. But the FBI, interestingly enough, had a different version, had a different interpretation from the Inspector General logs. So the FBI log describes the fuzzy image as possibly an inmate. The Inspector General logs it as an officer carrying orange linen or bedding, noting it in their final report as an unidentified corrections officer. Now, the final report by the Inspector General stated the following. At approximately 10:39 p.m., an unidentified correctional officer appeared to walk up the L-tier stairway and then appeared within view of the camera at 10:41 p.m. Now, official reports do state that Epstein died by suicide sometime before 6:30 a.m. If you're wondering about the timing, they don't have an exact or specific time when he died. And his body was discovered by a corrections officer delivering his breakfast. So he was discovered in the morning. Now, the official review of Epstein's death does not even mention the figure in orange, which is weird. Why not? Bill Barr and others claimed that no one entered Epstein's housing tier the night of his death. Not just that they didn't enter his cell, that they didn't enter his housing tier. That's what they said. Okay, Dan Bongino, who used to be the deputy FBI director before he stepped down, said on Fox and Friends that there's video clear as day. He's, meaning Epstein's, the only person in there and the only person coming out. You can see it. No mention of the yellow figure. And there's also some interesting in-depth analysis that CBS did. And honestly, I'm not being sarcastic here. Here's what they found. This is so fascinating. In an in-depth analysis of surveillance video from the jail, CBS News previously reported on the figure on the stairs and consulted independent video analysts who said the movement was more consistent with an inmate or someone wearing an orange prison uniform than a corrections officer, which obviously makes sense. Why would a corrections officer be wearing that bright yellow inmate color? That doesn't make any sense at all. So CBS interviewed prison employees who said that escorting an inmate at that hour would have been highly unusual, okay? A separate internal presentation included in the document release described a corrections officer believed by investigators to be Corrections Officer Tova Noel carrying linen or inmate clothing up to the tier. However, get a load of this. The 2023 Inspector General report did not identify Noel as the figure seen in the footage. In her interview, okay, Noel told investigators distributing linen was not part of her duties. Quote, "I never gave out linen, ever," she said, because that's done on the shift prior. But there's more. Then there's the fact that a noose was never definitively identified. I'm not making that up. A noose has never been definitively identified. Remember, he hanged himself allegedly. That's how he allegedly committed suicide. Well, investigators say that they interviewed corrections officer Michael Thomas, who said he told them that he discovered Epstein in his cell shortly after 6:30 in the morning on August 10th, and that he ripped Epstein down from the hanging position.
You know that moment right before you launch something new, that pit in your stomach? I remember when I started TYT, I thought to myself, what if no one watches? What if we run out of money tomorrow? It was scary. Still think about that every once in a while, but you push through, and having the right tools makes all the difference. Like when we launched Shop TYT, Shopify was a lifesaver. We used it and we loved it. If you're starting a business, those what ifs can be terrifying, and that's where Shopify comes in. What if I can't build a good looking website? Shopify has hundreds of templates to build a beautiful online store that actually matches your brand. What if people haven't heard of my brand? Shopify helps you to get the word out with easy to run email and social campaigns. What if I get stuck or have a question in the process? Their award-winning 24/7 support is there with expert advice. And the best part, that iconic purple Shop Pay button. It's why Shopify has the best converting checkout on the planet. Less abandoned carts, more sales for you. It's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT.
When investigators asked him, okay, well, what happened to the noose? He said, I don't recall, this is a direct quote. I don't recall taking the noose off, I really don't. I don't recall taking the thing from around his neck. The other corrections officer, the woman we were talking about earlier, Tova Noel, said that she never saw a noose around Epstein's neck. Now, according to the Inspector General's report, a noose collected at the scene was later determined not to be the ligature used in Epstein's death. So where's the noose? How did he hang himself? This is insane. And look, maybe these revelations alone are not enough to make you question the claim that Epstein died by suicide. But again, if you take a step back, there are other things that should raise eyebrows for sure. So for instance, Epstein's former cellmate, Nicholas Tartaglione, claimed in a pardon petition filed last summer and recently obtained by the Daily Beast that Epstein was deliberately left unprotected in federal custody. Why would they do that? Okay, well, maybe they made a mistake. But he also says, and he's a former police officer convicted of multiple murders, alleged that prison officials knowingly housed Epstein with an accused mass murderer despite earlier reports that the disgraced financier had raised concerns about his safety weeks before his death. Why would a guy on the verge of committing suicide be concerned about his safety? Makes you wonder. So, as much as the Trump administration tried to redact the hell out of the Epstein files, we're still learning some pretty fascinating things from that file dump. And And aside from investigating potential co-conspirators and their alleged predatory behavior, I think that there should be a full investigation into how Epstein actually died, because I'm not buying for a second that he committed suicide. That's my take, that's my speculation. But we'll see. We'll see if we ever get any real justice in this country when it comes to one of the biggest scandals and cover-ups in this nation's history.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.